The Romans had a saying, "A woman lays traps with her tears." Have you ever watched Penn and Teller? You know how their shtick is that they're magicians that will show you the trick. And yet, when you watch, it doesn't even matter that they've shown you. I'm going to pull a Penn and Teller on you. I'm going to show you a trick. And then I'm going to do it. And it's going to be so good that you won't help but fall for it. Because it's not a trick. And you're not really falling for it. It's human nature. The Spence Fencer writes, "The question we all have to ask ourselves is, do I trust Allison, or do I think she has to account for everything all the time? I trust you, Allison, to do something good with the money being sent your way. Honey Badger Cave, here we come." I hope so, Spence Fencer. Because I have a bit of bad news on the Badger Cave front. I met with the bank last Friday, and I found out I would need to be able to cover an additional $3,000 for a commercial appraisal to get a commercial loan. It would have been nice if I was told a month ago when I started this process. At this late date, I don't think I can tack on another $3,000 to the fundraiser and expect you all to cover it. Further, it doesn't make sense to me to pay 6% of the cost of the building to get it appraised. So I'm going to have to go with option B, which is anything you guys don't cover, I have to cover by selling the bank part of my home. And if option B fails, I'm going to go through with option goddamn fucking bank, which is using my own savings to cover the rest of the cost of the Badger Cave. Yes, I feel railroaded, particularly since the end of this cattle chute seems to have deposited me squarely on the option where I take all of the risks and the bank takes none. Like I said, I'm okay with this failing because you guys chose not to support it. I am not okay with it failing because of my choices. Or me. Before I continue, though, you know the drill. If you're someone who supports the message of Honey Badger Radio and isn't currently helping us out financially, just ask yourself why and tell me in the comments below. But if after you ask yourself why, your answer is, well, why not? Go here and either help with the monthly payments to the bank or go here to help me with the down payment. We have one day left to get to the first funding goal. Every little bit helps. If even a third of our listeners donated $5, we'd have the entire cost of the cave covered. To be honest, I thought this project would be a non-issue. A business space for a growing business. Nothing to see here, move along. Boy, was I wrong. I have never seen so much pushback from our critics on a fundraiser as I have seen for this one. I can't keep track of the bizarre allegations against me. I can't keep track of them anymore. They're just so many. Look at this thread. Pages upon pages, frankly insane shit. I mean, logically, I would have thought that travel fundraisers would have been seen as more frivolous than getting a business location in order to administrate and improve Honey Badger Brigade. If you were going to argue we were exploiting anyone, I would have imagined the whole going on vacation on men's dime angle would be more ripe for the plucking. But no, it's this one. This completely practical and sensible one. A business space for a growing business. Way back when I first proposed the Badger Cave, I created a poetic little metaphor about how anyone who supports us could go out to the road outside their house and look down that road and know that after however many miles and lefts and rights, they would be at the Badger Cave. I thought it was a sweet way of connecting all of us and realizing that once we have a physical space, it's almost like we're just down the road from everyone who listens to us. And I think a lot of you responded positively to that thought. Some of you thought it was a little too poetic and asked for some clarification on the practicalities, which is fine too. No problem answering that question. I never thought, however, that it would have this kind of effect on our critics. They have gone fucking mental. Look at this thread. It's still ongoing. And this fundraiser has even inspired a YouTube video criticizing me. I think this might be the first fundraiser that's done that. Do you honestly think that our critics are making this much of a fuss to protect men from me? Do you think they give a shit about men being exploited? No. They're terrified that the Badger Cave will happen. They're terrified of a world in which there is a road connecting them to an actual physical place where men's issues are recognized and taken seriously, a place they don't control, a place they have to coexist with in the real world. They really took that metaphor of every road being a road to the Badger Cave seriously. Somehow, I've accidentally stumbled upon something that really makes them shit their pants. Men's rights activists have launched protests before, but this almost feels like I've put a protest sign on every one of our critics' lawns. You know, when I go through all of my practical reasons for having space, and there are many, for example, I'm outgrowing my ability to contain Honey Badger Brigade in my own home. I need even more administrative space for the charity foundation I want, and I want to pursue a real-world archive for men's stories. I want to tighten Honey Badger's offerings and actually create an honest-to-God recording studio. When I think about all these practical things, sometimes I do still think, well, I guess I could get by without it for a little while longer. Then I look at this pushback, and I realize, if the idea of the Badger Cave pisses these people off this much, it has to happen. And at this point, I don't want to see how much they will crow and cheer if it doesn't. Spence Fencer asks, could we possibly pull a Sarkeesian of our own for the Badger Cave fundraiser? Let's make it rain for once. Any ideas? Some people on that critical YouTube video have compared me to Anita Sarkeesian. Others have said that I can't be compared to Anita Sarkeesian because I'm the cheat and she's totally legit. I have to say there is something I really respect about Anita. There's something that she's totally legit on, and that's having created an incredibly profitable business model. Now, what I don't respect, and incidentally the courts are increasingly not respecting, is that she never delivered on her promised content, or at least not all of it. Now, schedules slip and things happen, and she did produce some of what she promised, so whatever. It's ultimately up to her backers if they want to get upset with her. And I've never held her accountable for the amount of money she got over and above what she asked for. You can't close a Kickstarter after you've opened it. She couldn't have stopped it, so it's not her fault. My problem with Anita, the reason why I call her out, has very little to do with the fact she puts on fundraisers, or even that she delivers only a portion of the content she promises. It's not even because she passed off the normal background radiation of being a YouTube creator as something uniquely victimizing her as a woman. I mean, look at the comments section of this video calling me out. The shit in there is 10 times worse than Anita's wall of hate. This is just par for the course as a YouTube creator. If anything, Anita gets a pass. And she certainly gets even more of one when she closes her comments. But here's the kicker. Anita appealed to men's desire to protect women when she passed off the background radiation of YouTube as persecution for being a woman. She appealed to men's desire to protect women and got $150,000 worth of men's desire to protect women. And then she turned around and said that the men from the community that gave her over $150,000 were sexist swine who hate women, and that's why their pastimes need to be policed and censored, because they want to hurt women. Think about that for a second. The only reason she got $150,000 is because men want to protect women, and yet she uses the money to promote the belief that men want to hurt women, which, of course, will make men want to protect women like Anita even more. It's astonishing if you think about it. Astonishing. A very lucrative racket. A very lucrative lie. Now, I was convicted from a convention and banned for a period of 10 years. At that convention, when I was being evicted, I was given an ultimatum. I was expected to leave in an impossible amount of time. 15 minutes. I had to leave in 15 minutes without tools and no way to get to my car. And no trolley to pack my stuff up on. While being pressured by security to comply with that ultimatum. And apparently having a cop car waiting for me if I objected. I was expecting to go to that convention for years and sell my comic. I had invested a considerable amount of money to that end: a booth backdrop, a space funnel, a point-of-sale system, a merchandise display system, a counter, not to mention merchandise. Calgary Expo controls access to the marketplace for comics creators and artists for the Western Canadian prairies. In addition to being able to sell my comics, I'd been offered a job at a previous convention in my field. That action by the Calgary Expo torched my access to that marketplace for comics creators and artists, and effectively ended all possibility of a career in that marketplace, which, incidentally, includes a lot of art colleges and places where people like me can get employed. Not only that, but it meant my thousands of dollars of investment in that booth was down the drain. And if that wasn't enough, it set off a media storm in which my name and Honey Badger Brigade's name was dragged through the mud in media outlets across Canada. Anita got $150,000 for a bunch of slightly piquant words on the internet, words that she ultimately completely controlled. She could have deleted them at any time. They could have disappeared by her choosing. In fact, they did, after she got her use out of them. I have no control over those media outlets saying all that mean shit about me. They have a huge platform to say shit about me, not a comment on a YouTube video. Establishment media has access to tens of millions of people across Canada. It has authority and all the power and freedom to say as much mean shit about me as it wants, and it did. If Anita Sarkeesian could leverage some mean words on the internet into $150,000, I'm sure she could have leveraged what happened to me to the tune of a cool million at least, if not multiple millions. Hell, fuck the UN. She would have been speaking at the United Federation of Planets. But while I respect Anita's nose for profit, there's a very real difference between myself and Anita. I got punched down for standing up for men. Somehow in these people's squirrely brains, me standing up for men, taking a punch aimed for them, and men seeing that, helping me back up to my feet and putting a sword in my hands to fight back, equals me exploiting men for money. Anita got $150,000 for being a victim of mean words on the internet that she could have deleted at any time. I got $30,000 for losing my shot at a career in art. I got $30,000 for a countrywide media smear campaign. I got $30,000 for a specific purpose: to fight back, to take a specific action. And that's what I did. I fought back. Trial date is January 13th, 2017. As promised, so I shall deliver. At least a fight. If what happened to me happened to Anita, she could have drowned an elephant in the money she'd make. Millions she would have banked off of what happened to me. So why can't I make it rain like Anita? The answer is simple. I'm not selling snake oil. Anita is selling a feminist vision of manhood that is intoxicating to most men. She is telling men that they are colossus that strides across the world and leaves men quaking with fear at each mighty step. Men are gods and women tiny, fragile, feudal mortals. Men are omnipotent while women are deaf, dumb, and blind. Men are free while women are chained. I'm not telling men that they hate and despise women while appealing to their desire to protect women. I'm selling the truth, which is a bitter pill and nobody wants to swallow it. I'm telling men that they are an increasingly fragile and vulnerable place socially and politically. Most men don't want to hear that. They'd rather Anita's pretty lie about their power. In fact, they would rather be whipped than being seen as a victim of having been whipped. If I had somehow been able to spin what happened to me as happening to me because I was a woman and a victim of men's hate, not all men's hate, just the hate of the men who aren't donating to my fundraiser, I would have made millions. You combine women's tears with that toxic junk gender role that men are actually colossuses striding across the land, and you make bank. That's the business model Anita's created. It's awe-inspiring. It's a high-octane combination of financial domination coupled with male power fantasy, all wrapped up in a cutesy pastel plaid package. And men can't get enough of it. Well, not all men. After donating to the Badger Cave fundraiser, S wrote, "Please succeed, Allison. My brother killed himself not long ago. We lost another one. Failure is no longer an option." You're right, S. Failure is not an option. That's why I'm going to put up my house to make this happen, and if that doesn't work, then my savings. A long time ago, a wise man told me that men won't change. There will always be gynocentrism. Men will always want to protect women. The only thing we could hope for is to give men a better class of woman to protect. My husband said that people donated because I showed how much this had affected me. I showed everyone a good deal of the pain I was in. I didn't turn off the camera. I didn't hide it. To be honest, I've had to come to grips with the fact that most men would rather perish than give up their role of protector of women. For a long time, I thought that made men fools, and that made me angry. But that was my own bullshit. Any way forward has to recognize and honor that fundamental truth about men. My husband Jonathan is just about the only man I know who absolutely defies being manipulated by having his identity as a man held hostage. A woman once tried to win an argument with him by posturing over women's oppression. He said, "I don't care if you think women were oppressed in the past, I'm talking about here and now." A man once tried to shame him by saying a bike he liked was a woman's bike, and he said, "If I like it, that makes it a man's bike." I see people try to manipulate him with the whole "be what I expect you to be or you're not a man" line, and I just step back and grin. I'd pay them good money if they managed to make him do it. Do that. Do what they want, say or be anything with that line. And yet, if I'm upset or afraid, he just sort of apparates to where I am, like he has a whisker that vibrates every time I could be in peril. Male stallions will insert themselves between their herd and predators. Male wolves are in charge of the pack's protection, even if all the wolves, females and cubs alike, would be annihilated in a battle. Human men respond hormonally to women's cheers. Like the Romans said, women lay traps with their tears. They said this precisely because men respond to women's tears the way water responds to gravity. To get rid of men's desire to protect women, we would have to break them apart and rebuild them up from the genetic level. And many men would rather die than stop protecting women. The worst joke society ever played on men was making them think that their need to protect women is something society forces them into, rather than being innate to their being. Feminism is just a variation on that nasty joke. Anita's scam is just a nastier variation on that nasty joke. A week ago I talked about the founding of Rome and the role the Sabine women played in that founding. Romulus founded Rome with a bunch of landless men. At some point, Romulus realized Rome needed women, and he tricked the neighboring Sabine tribe into attending a festival. There, the Roman men stole the Sabine women. Years later, the inevitable happened, and the Sabine men raised a war party to reclaim their women. The Roman and Sabine men fought until it seemed like the Roman men were winning, whereby the Sabine women rushed the battlefield to stop the fight. That act of compassion by those women created the possibility of a shared Roman identity and laid the foundation of cooperation between tribes of men, the likes of which the world had not seen before. Where women withdraw compassion, there is competition between men. Where they offer it, cooperation. Where they withdraw compassion, there is war. Where they offer it, there is civilization. Women have been practicing this subtle statecraft for centuries. I postulate that a careful analysis of these twin forces and how they interact will reveal a great deal about how societies form and maintain themselves. Instead of being inferior, women's genius is simply different than men's. And I further postulate that we can use gynocentrism in an intelligent, self-aware, and compassionate way. And if you're a man who hates the fact that you're susceptible to gynocentrism, all I can say is that for a long time I was bothered by the fact that women had no history of achievement they could call their own, comparable to that of men. We rely on men for so much, nearly everything material, in fact. But in the end, both men and women are alternately vulnerable and strong in relation to each other. When one foot lifts, it has to rely on the other to land. But that alternating process of vulnerability and strength allows us to walk and ultimately to run. The key is trust. And this is the real reason why Anita makes it rain while I can't. Selling people snake oil is easy because you're selling them what they want to hear. Selling them the truth takes time because hearing the truth takes trust. Having studied the situation for 13 years, I've come to realize something. We will lose if we don't figure out how to use gynocentrism. As long as Anita and others like her are able to use the most effective way of mobilizing men, they will win every time. So I've made peace with gynocentrism. At the beginning, I said I was going to do this completely Penn and Teller style. I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you what I'm doing because I have nothing to hide. This isn't a con, and I'm not basing what I do on some fabulously outrageous lie. Save me, men, because you men never save women. I'm basing it on human nature and the fact that men need to protect women. But you know, that's what's wonderful about men, or it's one of the things that's wonderful about men. Don't lose that. Don't let people make you feel bad or like a fool for wanting to protect women. That's not the problem. The problem is that women need to want to protect men. And don't feel bad about needing that to be part of your life. However, be a bit more careful about the women you choose to protect. I'm going to do a Sarkeesian, or if you prefer, half of a Sarkeesian. I'm going to try to make it rain like she does. I won't succeed because I refuse to lie to men. I refuse to tell them that they're powerful. I refuse to tell them that other men hate women, but they're special, especially if they donate to my fundraiser. I refuse to feed them bullshit just to open up their wallets. And if that makes me a cheat and a swindler, then so be it. When I first saw this video, I shared it with some Honey Badger Radio supporters. One of them, B, asked me if I'd woken up to it. I said yes. B then disappeared for a bit, and I didn't know where he'd gone until I saw that he'd donated $500 to the fundraiser. I didn't ask B to donate a thing. He just did it because he saw this video and it pissed him off that I'd woken up to it. Hello, everybody.
Hang on. Allison, did you just start your video with a dramatic, painful shot of yourself?
Hey, wait. Femcorp, you know that this video actually had me crying in it, right? Your video is called Tears for Money. That would be your smoking gun. So, yeah, you don't have to go soft on me. Here, let me correct that.
Is that what you did? Did you just stage yourself dramatically?
The only other time in my life that I've ever experienced something like that was when I took a shop class.
Oh, hi, Allison. Hi. Yeah, uh, your intro, it's a little bit incomplete, so I'm gonna help you with that.
And all the boys essentially spit on me because I was in the shop class. And you know what? I say that, and I could say, oh, they were trying to oppress me. They were certainly trying to exclude me. But I have never believed in blaming a group of people. It's not the group of people, it's the behavior.
Hello, everyone. My name is Allison Tiemann. I am from Honey Badger Radio, and I am a con artist and a professional victim.
There. That's better. So yeah, if you're a man listening to this now, or a woman for that matter, these people are saying mean things to me on the internet. They're punching me for having stood up for men. They're mocking me for crying after having my career ruined and my reputation shat on, for God's sake. See this? They're mocking this. That feeling you're getting, that anger rising up in your throat, let them loose all over this fundraiser. And I can tell you what will really hurt these people, what will really piss them off. You see that number? What will really piss them off is breaking the bells on that number. That will make all those people currently punching me seethe with rage because they hate the idea of a badger cave. So donate. Piss them off. Make them squeal. And to all of you criticizing me, you're right. Men are going to respond to my tears. And at the same time you know that men respond to women's tears, you must also know that your belief that men would ever oppress women is complete and utter bullshit. Feel free to keep punching me. It fucking hurts. A lot. Maybe you can beat me down to the point where I can't get up. Lots of bullies have tried. But don't stop punching. Because I'm going to use your hate and vitriol to drive donations. I'm going to use you punching me to convince people to help me. And even though I've told you what I'm going to do, you can't help yourselves. You just have to do it. Because I'm a terrible person for standing up for men. And for the radical MGTOW listening to this and chewing their tongues off, if men can't tell the difference between the tears of someone who's taking punches intended for them, and will get back up again and take another punch intended for them, and the tears of someone who will exploit men's instinct to protect women for money while telling them all the while that men hate and oppress women. If men can't tell the difference between me and Anita, then we are screwed as a species. We can't get rid of dinocentrism, but we can channel it. Just like we channel all our other instincts, fucking, fighting, feeding. We can channel gynocentrism into something that benefits everyone. Just like the Sabine women used it to forge an identity which founded an empire. And guess what? When I get that money, I'm going to turn around and I'm going to create an administrative space for a charity foundation for men's issues. I'm going to create an archive of men's stories of love and sacrifice so they aren't lost to this wave of ignorance and bullshittery. I'm going to improve Honey Badger Brigade's service so we can bring even more attention to men's issues and the lies FemCorp tells women to keep them down. We got everything now. We got compassion for men, the ability to truly challenge men's addiction to their toxic gender role. We got respect for the power of women and the ability to truly challenge their addiction to their toxic gender role. We got true equality. We got everything feminism promises but doesn't deliver, and we don't got what feminism delivers but does not promise. We don't got feminism's toxic junk gender roles. We don't got the feminist obsession with reducing women down to victims and elevating up men to the status of gods on earth. Here's a clue, FemCorp. Don't exploit for your power and profit. That's what you say you oppose. Don't manufacture toxic junk gender roles for men and women, sell them that shit, and then say, toxic junk gender roles caused all of these problems. Here, have some more toxic junk gender roles. Fuck creating the sickness and selling the cure. Feminism, you have gone one step further on that classic scam. You create the sickness, and then you sell the sickness as the cure. So we got it all on our side. Equality, compassion, respect, integrity, honesty. What do you got? Mainstream media, the government, corporations, academia. You got nothing. I'm willing to take the gamble and put my home or my savings to cover anything I don't get in donations because we have the winning position and they got nothing. S said, please succeed, Allison. My brother killed himself not long ago. We lost another one. Failure is no longer an option. We're not going to fail. I'm not going to fail you. Even if most men would rather pay a woman to tell them they're big, even if she also tells them they're bad, I won't fail you. And everyone who donates to that fundraiser is going to watch the Badger Cave being built. They're going to know that their dollars went to something that doesn't just piss these FemCorp assholes off. It does something positive for men and women, both. And yeah, I am going to create a clubhouse. And we're going to have fun. We're going to throw a party that can be heard in space. And all of you on the outside looking in, the door's open. The only person who's stopping you is you. If a woman can lay traps with her tears, she can also open locks. There's a lot of locks that need opening. Starting with this one.